As they say, it's been a minute since we podcasted.
It has been a minute. We've had some busyness going on.
We've been doing some things.
Busyness.
But I made a short film, so that was part of the reason.
That was part of it.
And by the time this is released, we'll have some sort of link.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about it
or something.
Yeah, where you can see it, get it.
Yeah, where to get it. I mean, we're still working that out right now.
Right.
But as the recording of this, so either in the podcast notes.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it's called Undo.
Yeah.
It's about ChatGPT.
Had a little bit of a film festival ride.
Yeah, we did 2 film festivals.
2.
The Only Way Film Festival in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Yeah.
And then the following weekend, the Gasparilla International Film Festival.
That was awesome. It was really cool.
So 2 showings. And it's like 5 minutes long. It's not long.
5-minute film.
And we have a special limited edition VHS rental. Purchase available.
Rental, yeah.
Not rental, purchase. I used to rent VHS tapes.
We're not becoming Blockbuster.
No. But anyway, so that's that.
Yeah.
Information.
That was fun. So we've been busy.
In the description.
But we're back now.
Yeah. And we're at New World Brewery in Tampa, Florida.
We haven't podcast from here yet.
New spot.
So,
but
it's a new old spot. It's a new location, but not a new place.
I'm kind of excited to talk about it because our personal trainer today talked to me about.
We don't have a personal trainer.
He asked if we're going to see a movie today.
The guy at the gym.
We said, well,
the trainer guy at the gym. Yeah.
But
he was training the whole room.
He said, we told him we're going to see this 1950s Japanese film, which we're here to talk about. But then he's like, I like it when you guys go to your spot and talk about it.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I couldn't hear what he was saying when he was talking to you.
So we're at so I'm excited to talk for a minute about New World.
He wants to know like where we're going.
The spots.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's
started the video part of the podcast.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So we're at New World Brewery. They do a lot of live music here, but they have great thin crust pizza. Like different non-traditional. We had a black. It's called the darker side of the moon.
Yeah.
Black bean base
instead of pesto.
Feta, artichoke, red onion. It's good. Really good.
But New World Brewery
has been around forever.
It's been a long time. Back in Ybor City, which brings us back to our movie we saw.
That's where we saw the movie in Ybor City.
But yeah, so back in the day, New World Brewery used to be like
the place.
The sacred spot of Ybor City. Like off the main drag. Wanted something a little more low key, good drinks,
music,
good food,
bands.
good music. And then they lost their spot years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
like the owner of the spot was like, "No, we're good. We're going to build some condominiums or something."
Yeah.
Some shared workspace offices.
Right.
A Hilton Grand.
Yeah, is that what was built?
I know there was commercial development.
It was intriguing the last year or 2 that we used to go to when it was in Ybor.
Yeah,
it was
right
across
by
the street from the Scientology building. And we used to just like observe the comings and goings of the Scientologists.
But the good news is a couple years following their closing, they found a spot far away from Ybor City.
But actually closer to our house now.
Very close to where we live.
So that's fun.
So our Google Maps sleuths can start figuring out where we live.
So it has great craft beers.
Yeah, a lot of good beer, some good food, and a cool little outside courtyard.
Really big outdoor courtyard.
The courtyard was kind of a neat spot in Ybor.
I mean, like a huge outdoor courtyard,
But they have a nice little spot here, yeah. Our video, we got some footage of all the outside. We didn't get much inside. But the inside, they kind of did a good job of they've done a good job of recreating kind of like what it was in Ybor.
Yeah, with the brick and the plants and whatnot. And the pizza was delish.
We ate most of it. We told them to put it in a box so we wouldn't eat anymore.
And I have a beer,
drinking.
An IPA called Girls Rule.
Mm-hmm. We didn't really pay attention because they don't brew stuff here. It's more like
I don't remember where it's from. I feel like it said Wisconsin or something.
Sure.
But no. I remember.
I think mine's from Wisconsin.
Delia, Florida. Or Hialeah.
Yeah, Florida.
I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's like Heiah.
Hialeah, Florida. And then mine's one from Wisconsin. It's like the candied orange sour.
Yeah.
And it's delicious.
Mine is really good. It's different. A different tasting IPA for sure.
We haven't podcasted in a while, so I'm very I'm not trusting any of our setup. Because since I moved on to major motion picture filmmaking.
Trust the universe.
I know. I'm used to always being able to check our stuff.
Trust it. And if it doesn't, it wasn't meant to be.
So today we saw. So we're breaking the night before rule. This is the day of. We just saw an hour ago.
Yeah.
The 1950s Japanese film. Some say the best film ever made.
People do say that,
RASHOMON.
even though I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean anything. I've never heard of a lot of films.
But no, it was playing at the Screen Door Cinema, a micro cinema in Ybor City, Florida.
City. We'd never been, embarrassingly.
Well, listen, to be fair, it hasn't been open for a long time. I'm going to say 6 months.
Yeah.
And that part, it was kind of neat in itself. You have to go upstairs.
It's in the early stages.
In a building off the strip of Ybor City.
In an arts collaborative.
You go down this winding hallway of random doors and art experiments in various rooms.
And there's a tiny room that sells concessions.
Yeah.
Some popcorn.
And then a small little room that has 24 seats.
Did you count them?
Well, I counted the row in front of us had 6 seats.
And
there were 6.
And you multiplied.
And there were
6 times 6 is 36, hon.
There weren't 6 rows. Maybe there were 5 rows.
Anyway, with black drape hung around, with a nice screen, nice sound. It was great. Oh, and they had a movie dog.
Yeah, a dog that kind of roams the premises.
A white, blondish lab that roams around you while you watch the movie and kind of eats any popcorn or anything that you drop on the ground.
Yeah. So,
which is sweet dog.
So I had heard of RASHOMON.
I had not.
I'd never seen it. It's by Kurosawa, a very famous Japanese director.
Okay.
So I knew that. And when I saw that it was posted, it just seemed like the perfect opportunity. And plus, to me, nothing is better than a Sunday afternoon film in a small theater. If you're seeing some sort of foreign cinema, preferably Japanese or Korean.
Yeah, I mean,
it just feels like that's the time you see a movie like that.
Sunday at 3 or 4 o'clock is an ideal time to see
vintage
a movie.
Foreign cinema.
You don't get sleepy. It's just a nice Sunday afternoon activity. Then you can go enjoy a beer after, little food. It's nice. We had a nice afternoon together.
It was good.
Yeah.
And it was a good little crowd in there, so it's good to see people celebrating this.
Yeah.
And I think most of the people in there, it felt like the vibe of thus who paid to see it. There's a bee landing on me, but it's cool. That landing on me.
Oh, you like bees. You welcome
I think
bees.
most of the audience had never seen it before, like us included.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
And what was a treat was the director, he had made he's made plenty of films. But they showed a short
10-minute
of his
short.
from the 90s, from
that
1990.
Was fun. I enjoyed that.
About Vincent van Gogh and painting. And
Martin Scorsese.
Martin Scorsese was in it as Vincent van Gogh. Very colorful, very neat.
It was cute.
It was good.
I liked it. Yeah, that was fun. They had a lot of previews, which was cool because I was like, ooh, I want to see that. Ooh, I want to see that.
Yeah,
movies I've never heard of.
When it's a little bit more of an avant-garde movie theater, seeing the trailers helps.
It does.
Because it kind of gets you a little more.
Because if you just see the random name of a movie that maybe that's an old movie that you've never heard of, you're not necessarily going to be intrigued to go see it. But once you see the trailer, there was a couple let's see if we can see that. There was one on May 6th.
So what was can you remember the one that you're like, if I can only see one, what am I seeing?
Yeah, what's his name? The old guy?
Oh, the Bruce Stern movie.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
I think we've seen some of that trailer before.
It was called something
on May 6th.
Yeah, it was called
Bruce Stern.
It wasn't called Bruce Stern.
No, I know.
Bruce Stern said.
I know.
No, it's called Alamo, something Alamo.
That looked really good.
It's funny, the one I was most intrigued
But there was another one I was intrigued about. Oh, there's a train.
Yeah, we're right by a train track.
So New World Brewery is right next to a train track, which is
You're also right by the interstate.
fun.
No, I was gonna say Tommy Guns.
Oh yeah, I thought that too when I saw that one.
Tommy Guns looked really good.
Tommy Guns looked good.
Like so good. So we'll put.
I don't know what day that's on, but
that was sometime in May. But anyway, RASHOMON 1950s came out nearly 75 years ago.
75 years ago. Isn't that crazy that the 1950s is 75 years ago?
And let's just say a film like this.
Oh my God. I mean, approximately 75 years ago.
Just saying on look, it just looked amazing for a 75-year-old film.
Yeah.
Well, to think how early in the game of filmmaking, it's pretty good stuff.
Was it
Yeah, it's like remastered.
Remastered, yeah.
Digitally restored and 4K transfer.
All in black and white, so it's yeah.
I like the main thing on older films like that is the sound. You can tell like, okay, it's an older thing. The way they recorded audio back then, and then two, the way they did scores were just a little different.
Yeah.
But
it was really good. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I really liked it. I was glad that I knew what to expect going in.
What do you mean you knew what to expect?
I mean, you had kind of previewed what the movie was about.
We watched the trailer.
Yeah. We watched the trailer.
And I was like, tell me if you've heard this before, right? I was like, stop me if you've heard this. But a samurai, a priest, and a bandit walk into a bar.
I've heard that before, but that's not what it's about.
Didn't expect that, did you?
We had watched the trailer, so I had a preview of what it's about, which for me helped.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, because I don't know why. Sometimes I get lost in movies like that, and I'm kind of just like, "What's happening?" You know, like to have the cliff notes ahead of time helped me really engage.
Trailer doesn't show you much.
I know, but you knew it was. You know, a couple different perspective stories about an event that happened. So again, that helped me
it's a 73-year-old movie.
Organize and understand the movie.
We can spoil away. We're not going to say spoilers till the end.
I mean, we're going to spoil the movie.
But
so watch it before you listen to this podcast.
It's a interesting literary type premise.
That's what it is. It's like a short story.
Yeah, a murder happens. It's three people waiting out a rainstorm, talking out
It reminds me of a good short story. There's a fly on my head.
Talking about a murder that happened that it's kind of blown their minds.
Well, they're kind of shocked. At the beginning, they're kind of like dumbfounded or shocked or kind of like,
well, it's
what just happened?
It's not even the event that so much dumbfounds them. It's the loss of faith in humanity that has crushed them.
They're crushed by it. Yeah, they are, because this event has happened and they've been taken to court.
Yeah.
To, recall what they know.
Well, because the priest and this woodcutter guy they were called to testify because they were witnesses to part of it. Mm-hmm. But it's just like a murder happens and you have, 3, potentially 4 suspects who all tell a different version of the exact same event.
Yeah, and you start to think like, okay, is one lying for a reason? Is one not lying for a reason? Or is this just this person's version of what happened? Like in their emotional state, or in their state of shock, or in their state of fear, or in their state of whatever's happening in that person's perspective within the situation.
Yeah, I would go with fear and pride. Mm-hmm. They all seemed, the three of them, the samurai, the bandit, and the woman, the servant, because she's sort of like, she's not a servant, but she's sort of,
well, she's the guy's wife.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she would say it's a servant. I think back then, in the Japanese culture, women were just like property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all three of them
Not in the 1950s. I think this is supposed to be before the 1950s. So Women were just property of their husband.
But all three had like pride and self-image to preserve. The bandit has to the bandit has to preserve he's the ruthless bandit, the notorious,
right.
Billy the Kid type, right?
And in one story, he seems fearful and scared.
Yeah, but in his version,
he's like
I see
ruthless.
what I want, I take it.
I take what I want.
We're good. I take what I want. The samurai, he's a samurai of honor and respect, and he can't be shamed if his wife has been violated. Right. So that's his whole thing of honor, and he would like commit suicide because he's the one who died. The samurai is the one who was killed, the husband.
Yeah.
But his version of the story, which is told through a medium, which is interesting too.
That was interesting.
His whole thing is like, it's my pride. I would rather die than have people know that my wife was raped.
Has been with another person. Unwillingly, but just in general. Or willingly. Because
according
to other stories,
her story is like, hey, look, he started raping me. And then I was like, I'm tired of this facade with the samurai.
Right. This is my way out.
He's this ruthless bandit. Let me go with him.
Yeah.
But then, it ends with the woodcutter's perspective, which is interesting. I don't know if
she thought that. No, she didn't think that while she was being raped.
No, she said, I gave into him.
Well, no, but she thought that she said it.
Yeah.
She thought that at
crying.
the beginning.
I stopped crying afterwards.
No, when she saw him at the beginning, when they crossed paths, she thought, if he comes for me.
Oh, you're right.
This is my ticket out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The breeze that blows open her veil.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what he even said. The bandit was like, none of this would have ever happened if it wasn't for the breeze.
Well, and he saw her ankles.
Yeah. Well, the ankles and the breeze. Like, cause remember he said the breeze showed me her face. And I was like, that's cool. That's cool.
And they focused in on her ankles, which are supposed to be like a sign of beauty, especially in the Asian culture. Like women's ankles or feet or whatever are a sign of beauty.
No, so it was just interesting, this like the different perspectives, and it did a really good job of just, because that's what they said. That's what we learned from Googling about the RASHOMON effect.
Yeah.
Right?
I didn't know that term. So there is a term called the RASHOMON effect.
Yeah.
And it's when different people have different perspectives
of
on
the same
event.
Like you see things differently.
Even though everybody witnessed the same event.
And that's what this is. Everyone experienced the same event. They all processed it and shared it differently.
Their stories are completely different because of their perspective, their emotions, their whatever, pride, like you said.
And on top of this, right? And so that's the whole story, right? And the woodcutter has this whole other version. Like, I actually watched the whole thing, and he didn't share the truth to the court. He watched it all.
Right.
And told his version. And we don't even know if that part's true. Because he leaves out the part, apparently, that the stranger says, but you left out the part, you lied at the beginning, and now you're telling this version of the story. But I think you stole the dagger, the expensive pearl dagger. So you left that part out. Like, you're no different. You're one bandit to another. How are you any different from the bandit who like coveted a woman? And
so there's no reliable narrator in the whole movie. It's
so
shot
even you
really
as
well.
the viewer, you're just like, I don't know what truly happened.
Yeah. The fighting gets, teeters on ridiculous.
But I think part of that, the big fight scene at the end, because I think the woman, when she finally speaks up, she has this idea of like, neither one of you are men. You're not a great bandit.
Right.
You're not this honorable samurai.
Y'all fight like crap.
And they don't fight honorably. They rustle around and
throw dirt at each other.
Terrified of being killed. Neither one of them.
Yes.
And then when the bandit does kill the samurai, he is
terrified
because he's never truly killed a person. It seems.
Right. He just has the reputation.
Yeah. He's never, and that's why he has to lie under oath saying, yeah, I killed the guy. Because I'm the bandit.
To manage his reputation. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because I don't know. This is like biased. I'm like, oh, the woman's story is the most reliable.
Well, at first you think that. That's why I like.
At first you were like that, and that's like a bias I have. I feel like.
But even under like a current cultural lens, like you look at it and you're like, oh, she's the victim. She's been raped.
But is she the victim?
But she turns the tables near the end too.
Yeah.
As well.
Where she's like, and
I mean, to me, it's fascinating. A movie that's nearly 75 years old.
Well, she is a victim because she's raped.
No, of course. No, I'm not saying diminishing the rape part.
But she's not a victim in the sense that in her version,
but that's what
she
I'm
was
saying.
like,
She's
this
just
could be my ticket out.
Oh, this is
like desperate measures. Desperate situations take desperate measures.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's even 75 years later, we're looking at it thinking like, oh, let's look at it this way. The woman was attacked. And so we should just listen to what she says. But this is the interesting part where she's like, no, this whole thing's complicated for me too.
Yeah.
And we're looking at it 75 years evolved.
Yeah.
Thinking wise.
Yes.
And it's still just a hard thing to grapple with. Like, no, I don't know where she falls in all this now. All of a sudden.
she's
like
in our present day mindset, she's, even in her story, she's a victim of her culture at the time, in the time period.
No, of course.
However, in her mind, she's kind of like, I'm just going to make my situation better.
But a film made in the 50s, too, you got to think about that, too. Like, to have a dynamic female character in that role is fascinating even today.
Yeah.
Like, I find a lot of films, my problem with a lot of cinema, even though they're on the right side of the conversation, they're just so heavy-handed and agenda-driven, and there's no there's only one right interpretation of this and this event or this person. This is like, this is murky.
Yeah, it's murky for sure.
And like I said, and the truth of what really happened is somewhere in between all four of their stories.
And what I love, because we've said in a lot of these podcasts, what I love about this movie. What I hate about a lot of movies these days, in order to enjoy it, there has to be so much sexual exploitation and violence and blood.
Yeah.
Even though there was fighting, there was no blood.
No.
There was no nudity. Even though she was raped, there was no you didn't need that in order to feel the emotion of the situation. Old cinema, right? Yeah.
Where it's like she drops her dagger.
But it didn't feel cheesy.
And then she grips his back.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, what just happened here? And then it fades. And then it goes up to the trees or something.
And then he says something like, see, I could have my way with her and not kill her husband. So that he raped her. Mm-hmm. But you don't have to see all the things to make it feel to make it a good movie.
No, I agree. Well, it's also fascinating. Another piece I thought was great was just, I knew the element of when the rainstorm ends, the story will be over. Mm-hmm. So that was interesting.
Because it was raining the entire time.
But just also the fact that they're on the whole thing is taking place in a dilapidated, rundown temple.
Because the one guy's a monk.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And the temple is destroyed, right? It's like the gates of entering a city, Kyoto or something like that, they said somewhere. I could be wrong on that, but it's this dilapidated temple that's half there. They're taking it apart and burning it for warmth. And they even talk about the mounds of dead bodies buried there from plague, earthquake, natural disasters, disease. And so it sort of just opens up with these two, and then eventually the third stranger who walks up, who triggers the story, just sitting there like the downfall of humanity. Yeah.
So don't you think that third stranger kept reminding me of the bandit? Like they looked similar.
A little bit.
I don't know if it's just because the way they were dressed.
Just like the medium kind of reminded me of the wife. They had the same eyebrow.
Oh yeah.
Thing.
But did you see they paint that?
Yeah, that's what I mean. And they look very similar because they shave the eyebrows and paint.
Yeah.
The thing. No, but I just thought just visually, just that piece, the whole time you're watching it, and it's the priest and the woodcutter struggling with humanity. And they've just witnessed three liars, a fourth liar, the woodcutter himself, four people kind of all lying.
Yeah.
About the murder of a person.
In order to save face, not to save their lives, because a lot of people admitted to murdering the person, even in court.
Yeah.
Just to save their pride or dignity or whatever.
And so, just that part, just setting it at that just constantly reminds you as the viewer of just everything kind of they're internally what they're struggling with, right? Their existential crisis, if you will, is visually easily seen in just what has been destroyed around. There's nothing nice around them.
Yeah. And the other thing I loved about, I agree with that, but I was just, my thought just went somewhere else.
No, go there, follow it.
I love, because, you know, like in old movies, women's cry is just like so dramatic.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't feel like cheesiness at all in this movie, the woman's cry is just like,
yeah, it's kind of the overacting, or like
you know, or even loud, dramatic cry. I'm just like, wow, this is a lot of crying.
Or even the bandits over the top laughing. Constantly.
Over the top laughing. Yeah, just the over the topness of it.
He's manic, he's crazy.
Made it a little like ethereal for today's times. Yeah. Watching it from a modern lens, like stuff like that only happens when you're like, whoa, these people are like insane.
Or if it's theater, if it's like if you see it in a theater, like not a movie theater, I mean like a play on stage, like on stage theater. You would act big so people in the back could see you.
That's true. Yeah, so I thought that was no, it didn't take away from the movie for me. I just kind of liked that little aspect of it.
No, it's part of it. That's like I said, one could say like, oh my gosh, that bandit he's over the top. He's like laughing constantly. He's like kicking his feet on the ground. But I think some of that is to say, oh, you know, you need to act unstable. You need to act this. And he's acting big like he would as a theatrically.
Which creates his personality.
Like in a stage.
Yeah.
And then it ends with this like baby that appears.
Yes, that was weird.
Right? See, at first my thought was like, oh, was there a baby the whole time? And the woodcutter took the baby?
Right. I thought that too at first.
But I think that's some of our modern storytelling.
Yeah. Creeping in.
Yeah. But no, in reality,
it was just like it
had been abandoned.
Just abandoned the
because
baby
it was another element of humanity.
While they were talking during the rainstorm.
Yeah, humanity failing.
Right.
Another downfall in humanity is a parent or parents abandon a child at a dilapidated temple with a priest and was just like, you take care of it, right? They put a little protection Kimoto
amulet
on it.
Yeah.
But it was
which is like
but it was just another thing of like, oh look, here's another example of
downfall of humanity.
Just failing.
Yeah. They can't even take care of their own children.
And then in like in a sense of redemption, the woodcutter is like, I'll take it. Like, I have been bewildered by what I've seen in those last few days.
Like, I'm going to step up. I already have 6 children.
Yeah, my funniest part. He's like, I have 6 children. What's one more?
What's one more child?
And I'm like, one more's a lot. If you already have 6, it's like, I already got 6. 7 might push it over the limit.
But yeah, I think it's a symbol of another downfall of humanity. And from what I read
on Google, real quick, Google answers.
Google real quick.
Yeah.
It's a symbolism of hope for the future.
Yeah.
But I also read that the modern Rashomon, what is it called?
Rashomon? The Rashomon effect?
Rashomon
do you want one more round?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do one.
I'm going to have the orange one.
All right, 2 more. It's the orange.
2 of the orange?
That orange sour thing. It's really good.
Thanks.
That orange sour is like
the modern. Well, there's a lot of
the Rashomon effect.
Rashomon effect movies, but one of the most close.
Yeah, I
haven't seen this movie.
Okay.
Or read the book. So, the modern one is Avatar? Gone Girl.
Oh, Gone Girl. Yeah, I could see that.
Apparently, that's what has been said.
No, we watched Gone Girl.
We did?
Yeah.
Me and you
read the book. Ben Affleck's in it.
It's a long time ago.
Right?
I mean, it hasn't left an impression for me because anytime anyone talks about Gone Girl,
David Fincher directed it.
I'm like,
yeah, I remember it's like the murder thing, and then he goes off, and she's like with this other guy, and then she comes back to Ben Affleck, and there's like the whole media thing, and they're just like, let's put on this.
No.
But yeah, I can see a little bit of that. I'm gonna say this is much better than Gone Girl.
Well, no, I'm not saying this is.
Thank you so much.
I'm not saying this isn't better than Gone Girl. I'm saying Gone Girl, obviously.
No, you're saying.
I know we have the book, and I think I read it, and I didn't remember if we watched the movie, but I have no like recollection of it.
That's all right. What if we put on the screen like right now? all the films according to Wikipedia that do the Rashomon effect.
That would be good.
All the titles, and then we'll just take them away like that.
Okay.
That means more work for me editing.
Ooh.
So would you recommend this film to anybody?
I'd recommend it to my dad. He'd love it.
Which we've been on a Turner Classic Movies kick lately. I think that's our new fascination.
He would love it. And I'll probably text him tonight about
He's probably already seen it.
Probably. He's very knowledgeable in old films.
Let us know in the comments if
especially the 50s.
Rashomon.
Yeah.
I would recommend it to anyone if
they like foreign film.
No, that's not it.
I always try to predict what you're going to say,
right,
and it's never right.
All right, I'll try it one time.
That means you're not predictable.
I would recommend it to anyone
who,
if there's an if.
Got stabbed in the hand.
No, if you can see it in a theater. I don't care if it's a big theater or a small theater.
The experience was fun.
I think if you're sitting on your couch and watching this at home, you're not going to appreciate it.
You're not going to pay attention to it.
You're going to look at your phone.
Well, everybody looks at their phone.
You're going to...
That's the problem.
In the movie, you don't.
It's a downfall of humanity. If we're on that theme,
I feel like the woodcutter and the priest. It's you and us.
Let's connect these themes. Social media, downfall of. I love social media. We promote our.
No, I like it for a promotion tool to reach people. I don't like it as
taking it off our phones.
I don't like it as a consumption thing.
I don't either. Like downfall of humanity.
We wouldn't be making a podcast if we're always on social media, or movies.
Or anything.
Yeah. But no, I would recommend
time
it
suck.
if you can see it in some sort of non-home setting.
I agree with that.
Because I was thinking about this while I was watching it. I was like, oh, I would appreciate this if I saw it at home. I wouldn't like it as much.
Even though we have a good home setup.
Because I might pause it and go get a snack, or I might get a message and check the phone.
We'd have better popcorn at our house.
Yeah, well, we've perfected the popcorn making at home.
You're right. For sure. 100%.
If you could see this in a theater that's playing it, and I'm sure there's places that play it occasionally.
And it was unique.
Yeah.
You know, the seats were
it was so uncomfortable.
But we're old. Nobody else was fidgeting in their seat as much as we are.
Indoor cinema. We have the same problem at Tampa Theater. We have the same place. It's just
uncomfortable seating, but that's okay.
We'll talk to our personal trainer to see if there's some stretches he can recommend.
For movie theater.
For a 2-hour movie.
But I particularly have a tight lower back right now. So I had a particularly hard time, but the movie wasn't long, so we made it through.
Yeah.
The beers are helping.
Yeah, but this place didn't serve alcoholic beverages.
These beers are helping my back pain.
Okay. So I think we've talked enough about Rashomon.
Yeah, it was fun.
Rashomon?
Rashomon.
Yeah. I'm glad we saw it.
I'm glad we saw it. It was a fun day. Thanks for doing that for us.
Yeah, I figured
I appreciate it.
I saw it on social media.
Same with our concert we went to Friday night. It reminded me on social media that Pedro the Lion was coming.
We'll cut to the picture here in a second. We saw the band Pedro the Lion in Ybor City.
And we got to talk to David Bazan.
Friday night.
That was fun. Friday night. That was fun. We've had a fun weekend.
At his show,
Cheers
he talked a little bit about New World Brewery, playing at New World Brewery. He didn't remember the name.
Uh-huh.
And folks in the crowd were like, New World. And he's like, I played outside at the Ybor City thing. So it's our whole weekend is connected. Pedro the Lion.
Yeah.
Ybor City, Micro Cinema, Screen Door, which I also think has a connection to our podcast in general. I think they're loosely affiliated with Second Screen Cult Cinema.
Which is where our very first podcast was about the movie we saw
Purple
with them.
Noon.
Yeah, Purple Noon.
That we saw in the backyard.
So it's like a
full
circle
And now
weekend.
we're at New World Brewery, the new World Brewery.
The new World Brewery. Yeah, it's been a fun weekend. We've had fun.
Yeah. And check the links in our description to download our short film.
Yeah.
You can rent it for 99 cents or buy it for $1.99.
It's actually really awesome. Like, I'm really proud of
it played in
you.
two short. You're in it.
He keeps calling it ours.
I'm in it. I star in it.
No, but I had nothing to do with making it.
No, it's true.
You made it.
Yeah.
You put a lot of time and energy into it. And
it was fun, though.
It's really good. I really like it a lot.
It's it's being featured by Pine Lake Pictures.
Pine Lake Pictures has picked it up.
They picked it up and they're pushing it out there.
Pushing out there.
All right, let's toast and let's do this. Right.
Cheers.
Cheers. Wait, what? Oh.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You got to drink.
Oh, that's right. It's how toast works?
That's how it works. Cheers to a good podcast and a great weekend.
Yeah, we're back. All right. Bye.
Now we're gone. Bye.